Saratoga Chocolates is based out of Saratoga, a town near the Santa Cruz Mountains in Silicon Valley. Artisan chocolatier Mary Loomis is going to demonstrate for us how to make chocolate-covered hazelnuts. And she's going to start with the first ingredient, which is, tell us, Mary.
Just measuring the sugar for a caramelized hazelnut recipe we're going to do. It's a panning recipe, so we're going to coat the hazelnuts in a burnt caramel, and then we're going to coat them in chocolate. So it's a really delicious recipe. They're one of those items that when you start eating them, you can't stop. Like, you keep eating them and eating them and eating them. They're that good. So I have hazelnuts that we already roasted. We buy our hazelnuts raw. So we've roasted them. And all I'm doing is I'm pouring the sugar into the hazelnuts in a heavy pan and some water. And then we're going to just cook them into a burnt caramel. And the way we're going to caramelize them is we're just going to coat them with the sugar and the water on a high temperature stove. And once the sugar coating starts to crystallize around the nuts and start to caramelize, we're going to then start really raising the temperature and stirring them frequently so we burn the caramel all the way around and coat all of the nuts. Oh, what makes this nice is this is a faster recipe. A lot of coating recipes have you make the caramel and then put the nuts in, and it doesn't get the same result. So I found this to be a nice nifty trick on how to coat nuts with a quick caramel. It is a more burnt caramel though, so which I think adds great flavor when matched with a good dark chocolate. So to me, it's one of the best. This will take about 10 minutes probably. And then we let the nuts cool before we can coat them. This is a panning process, so you have to pan the nuts so that each nut is individually coated with chocolate. And I don't have a big panning machine, so some chocolatiers have machines that spin the chocolate. We don't have that, so we have to do it all by hand. It's a good workout. Gives your biceps a good workout. So I'm Mary Loomis. I'm the owner of Saratoga Chocolates. We founded the company in October of 2005 here in Saratoga, California. How I got started, I tell people it was a hobby that went astray. I had stopped working and was a stay-at-home mom, and I loved working with chocolate. It had been my hobby, and I ended up basically taking over my house with all kinds of chocolate making. And finally my husband said, I think it's time for you to do something with all of this. So I did a business plan, and we started up the company. We built the kitchen from scratch. It's a very small retail shop with a little tiny kitchen, but you'd be shocked at how much chocolate you can produce in these small little kitchens. So we've been in Saratoga since 2005. We did expand into San Francisco for a couple of years. We now are just doing wholesale and then our small retail store here in Saratoga. One of the things that we're really proud of is we focus a lot on using local ingredients and local suppliers. So the chocolate we use is the E-Guitar chocolate because they're here locally in the Bay Area. And then we also source all our nuts and fruits from local suppliers. So we really focus a lot on being a local company, using local ingredients, supporting other local stores. And it's been a really fun relationship building all these suppliers and getting to know other people who have, nut businesses or fruit businesses. And so the sugar's starting to crystallize. which a lot of people go, ooh, you don't want crystallized sugar, but for this recipe you actually want the sugar to crystallize around the nuts, because then you can start to get the caramel to burn around the nuts and get the result we're looking for, which is a very crunchy nut that has this lovely burnt caramel around it. So as you can see, like, it's all of a sudden getting crystallized and looking almost dry. Now we'll start to work on getting the caramel to burn around these nuts. Oh, so I'm going to pour half the nuts out onto a tray so that I can work the nuts better, because it's kind of an arm workout. And then get them to burn. All right, see how this is burning the caramel around the nuts? We actually want this steam and this little bit of a burnt smell. That's a little bit of a burnt caramel. You just don't want to take it too far. So I'm going to dump these out now, and then I'll take the other half and get them going. So these are our burnt caramels.
So Mary can actually speed up the process. She then takes these nuts and puts them in the refrigerator so they can cool down. After about 15 or 20 minutes, she comes back, takes them out of the refrigerator, and then they're ready to start coating with chocolate.
I'm just trying to break them apart so they're individual nuts, so when we coat them with chocolate, they stay individual.
So now the nuts are separated in the bowl, and Mary's going to put 3 different layers of chocolate on them. So she's going to put 1 layer of chocolate, then shake it up, then another layer of chocolate and shake it up, and so on.
So this chocolate is tempered chocolate, so we already tempered it in our tempering machine. So what a panning machine does is it spins around and it coats the nuts. So we're just simulating what a panning machine would do, so it's just hand panning. So that your nuts, you don't want the nuts to stick together, you want them to be all individual, so you have to keep them moving while the chocolate sets. So we do this 3 times, so 3 coats of chocolate total, and then we coat them in cocoa powder to finish them.
So it might seem like a lot, but this is only the 2nd layer of chocolate that Mary is pouring on these nuts.
Again, so this is our 2nd coating, 2nd round of coating. So we just have 1 more to go after this, and then we put some cocoa powder on them, and they're ready to go.
So now, with the arms of an Olympian, after all that work, Mary finally gets the final layer of chocolate poured on. So she stirs it in this last time, and then she gets ready to put the actual cocoa powder on the finished product.
It's a Madagascar cocoa powder. It's got a red hint to it, so we really like the color it brings out. So this time now we're just going to wait for these to start looking matte, so they're still shiny. As soon as they get more matte colored, then we start adding the cocoa powder. Alright, so we're just going to add some cocoa powder now to this so that we can coat the chocolates. And we'll keep our stirring so that we have them individually coated. I like a lot of cocoa powder on them. You have the sweetness of the burnt caramel, so you can go with some of the bitterness of cocoa powder in this. The dark chocolate we used is a 71% cacao. Dark. Alright, so we just... Now we're done. Now they're ready to be packaged. You want to taste one?